At the same time, the ANC has condemned US President Donald Trump's claims of genocide and persecution of white South Africans, along with his boycott of the G20 summit in South Africa. In a statement, the ANC says his claims and boycott of the G20 are part of a long and disgraceful pattern of imperial arrogance and disinformation. And Trump has repeatedly said he would not attend the summit in South Africa, which is scheduled for November 2022 to November 2023, due to friction with its host over Pretoria's policies on land and Israel. And for more on this, we are now joined by the ANC's Mahlengi, Bhengu for more on this discussion and other matters within the ANC. And she joins us now via our video link. Mahlengi, thank you so much for your time this evening here in SABC News. I'd just like to start off here. Of course, you would have seen that clip that we played just before this, and that pertains to NEC member Mchunu. And it seems as if the ANC has since dismissed or rejected rather his decision to step aside from organizational duties within the party. And one would say, looking at the veracity of the allegations that Mchunu does face, why did the ANC reject his decision to step aside?
Well, because we have to be dutiful to the constitution of the ANC, which was carefully crafted with the advice of our own lawyers and many others that understand the law. And so we have to be true to that so that we don't set a precedence where we make exceptions simply because Senzo Mchunu's name is being talked about a lot. We've got to follow process and be methodical about it. He has not been criminally charged. The step-aside policy is very crystal that only when you are criminally charged, you are required to voluntarily step aside, or if not, to be made to step aside, and also to be subjected to the disciplinary processes of the ANC.
And I mean, these allegations are quite dire, and one would say the ANC has in the past said that it is taking corruption seriously within the party and in the country. And when you are rejecting for your member who's asking to step aside because of the veracity of the allegations, what does it say to the country, and what does it say to your supporters when it comes to dealing with issues of corruption?
Well, what we would want to say to the country and to our members and supporters is that we're simply implementing the constitutional provisions of the ANC. And let me also hasten to add that this is an ongoing matter. The National Working Committee, which is mandated by the National Executive Committee to address ongoing daily matters of the ANC, is keeping a watchful brief on this matter, and will be meeting as it does regularly. And I'm sure they would continue to make an assessment. But ANC continues to be committed to the renewal effort. Those that are on step aside at the moment have been put on step aside or voluntarily stepped aside following the guidelines of the Constitution and the provisions of the Constitution. We can also confirm that the ANC has made it clear that anything that emanates from the Judge Mahlengi Commission must be taken seriously by any member of the ANC. Everyone is instructed to cooperate and to make sure that they can clear their names when they need to clear their names.
And Mahlengi, as a political party, how concerned are you that the issues that you're facing before the Mahlengi Commission, and those are some of your members, particularly the police minister who has now been placed on special leave, Senzo Mchunu, and the allegations we are hearing within the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee, how concerned are you that this may dent the party's image going towards the elections next year?
Any allegation and the proof of wrongdoing that involves any member or leader of the ANC dents the reputation and the brand image of the African National Congress. That is why we've strengthened our procedures that deals with discipline within the organization. We're working hard at making sure that the image of the ANC is restored. We're working hard at ensuring that we support all the efforts of government led by President Ramaphosa that are aimed at cleaning up. For that matter, it can only be in South Africa that a government investigates itself and a leading party investigates itself by the establishment of the Mahlengi Commission. And that is why you would only find that in the ANC in South Africa, not even in the West, to have politicians subjecting themselves to being investigated for any malfeasance that may have happened.
And Mahlengi, also dealing with another important matter, the country is set to host the G20 summit later this month, and we've just seen US President Donald Trump saying that no US official will be making their way to the G20 summit this year. I mean, as the ANC, how do you view some of the comments being made by particularly US President Donald Trump when it comes to issues around a white genocide taking place in the country?
Well, we've issued a statement, a very strong statement, where we basically expressed our displeasure with the penchants by President Donald Trump to cast aspersions on the nature of our constitutional democracy and our policies, including domestic policies, to characterize South Africa as a country that discriminates against one particular grouping, in this case, white Afrikaners in particular. We don't know who continues to mislead him, because even those that went to the US to decampaign our country and led to the refugee status being given to farmers and Afrikaners, and that has been a failed project. We're told that those that are there, many of them are wanting to come back home because they were promised that they would get to that promised land, and the US is a different ballgame. And so we frown upon his conduct. South Africa is a sovereign state. South Africa has got its own policy of non-alignment, and we stand for peace and solidarity, which is why we take up causes across the world that are about securing self-determination and peace and stability for those that are oppressed. And of course, our policies, they really, really irk him. And we are not going to change on the basis of attack and attempts at bullying. His non-attendance at the G20 is not going to diminish the stature of that summit. It will continue. The world is massive, and there are many, many countries that yearn for solidarity, for shared prosperity, for shared opportunity, and for peace across the world.
All right, Mahlengi, thank you so much for your time. That's the ANC's national spokesperson, Mahlengi Bhengu, there giving us a discussion when it comes to the issues facing the party, and that follows that statement that it has rejected the decision by Mchunu to step aside from his organizational duties. At the same time, also they're commenting when it comes to US President Donald Trump says that he will no longer be coming to the G20 nor sending any representative from the US.